Why are your audience surveys lying to you? And what to do about it? Most audience surveys get it wrong because people don't say what they actually do. The fix is simple. Ask about real behavior, check answers against what your audience actually does, and use those insights to shape smarter pricing in audience segments. This article was written by Ali Mahmood, Senior Digital News Strategist at FatChilli for Publishers, and published November 11th, 2025, and read out loud by an artificial voice. Most publisher audience research is expensive theater. You spend months and thousands of euros collecting data that tells you what people think they want, not what they'll actually pay for. The gap between stated preferences and actual behavior is 30 to 41%, which means your surveys are no better than a coin flip for predicting subscriber behavior. But here's what's interesting. A handful of publishers have figured out how to make audience research actually useful for strategic decisions. Not just demographic breakdowns that confirm what you already know, but insights that predict who will subscribe, what they'll pay, and when they'll churn. The difference isn't better survey software. It's understanding that people lie to researchers and themselves in predictable ways, then designing around those biases instead of pretending they don't exist. The three lies everyone tells. Traditional surveys fail because they assume people can accurately report their own behavior and preferences. They can't. Three systematic biases doom most audience research. Social desirability bias. People overreport consuming quality content because it makes them look smarter. Ask someone how often they read investigative journalism versus celebrity gossip, and you'll get answers that bear no resemblance to their actual clicking patterns. Acquiescence bias. Respondents tend to agree with whatever you ask, regardless of content. It's easier to say yes than think critically about each question. Hypothetical bias. What people say they'll do and what they actually do are different things entirely. This is why so many subscription predictions based on willingness to pay surveys turn out wrong. The solution isn't more sophisticated demographic segmentation. It's designing surveys that work around these biases instead of amplifying them. How to ask questions that get real answers. Instead of asking aspirational questions like, "How often do you read news online?" the most effective surveys anchor responses in specific, verifiable experiences. Thinking about yesterday, how many different news articles did you read online and on which platforms? This contextual anchoring technique grounds responses in concrete behavior rather than self-perception. It's the difference between asking someone to estimate their general habits versus recalling specific actions. For subscription research, frame decisions in terms of loss prevention rather than willingness to pay. Instead of, "Would you pay 10 euros per month for premium content?" try, "How would you feel about losing access to our premium articles?" Loss aversion is psychologically more powerful than equivalent gains, leading to more accurate predictions of actual subscription behavior. Social proof questions reveal true preferences better than direct asking. Rather than, "Do you prefer in-depth analysis?" ask, "What type of content do your colleagues share most often?" People are often more honest about others' behavior than their own. The only pricing research that actually works. Most pricing surveys fail because they ask people to imagine spending money they haven't actually spent. The Van Westendorp price sensitivity meter avoids this by identifying psychological price thresholds through four strategically designed questions. At what price would this content be too cheap to trust? At what price would this be a great value? At what price would this be expensive but worth considering? At what price would this be too expensive to consider? The intersection of these curves reveals optimal pricing strategies without leading responses toward specific price points. It's elegant because it asks about psychological reactions to price, not purchase intentions. The Financial Times took this further, using AI to analyze more than 50 user data points for dynamic pricing. Their system delivers personalized offers ranging from student discounts to premium C-suite packages, improving both average revenue per user and lifetime value. But the key insight isn't the technology, it's that they validate all pricing research against actual behavioral data. Here's the crucial point. Sophisticated pricing research only matters if you can operationalize it. Don't implement complex methodologies unless you have the technical infrastructure to act on the insights. Segmentation that predicts revenue. Traditional demographic segmentation tells you who your audience is, not how much they're worth. Age, gender, and location don't predict subscription likelihood nearly as well as engagement patterns and revealed preferences. The most successful publishers implement RFV scoring systems that combine survey insights with behavioral data. The Financial Times pioneered this approach, growing from 0 to over 1 million digital subscribers by focusing on engagement quality rather than traffic metrics. Their system reveals 4 distinct user types: high-value readers, frequent, long-duration content consumption with high social sharing rates. These are your subscription targets. Casual browsers, occasional, short visits, but may convert under specific conditions. Worth nurturing with targeted content. Topic specialists focus on specific content areas and often represent high lifetime value. Perfect for targeted retention strategies. Discovery seekers explore diverse content and provide valuable feedback on editorial direction. Your product development partners. The key insight: segment by behavior and revenue potential, not demographics. A 25-year-old who reads 5 articles per week and shares content is worth more than a 45-year-old who visits once per month. Why most survey results are useless. Academic research consistently shows that stated preferences poorly predict actual behavior. Publishers implementing predictive validation report a 49% variance explanation through revealed preference models compared to 32% for stated preference models alone. This means you need to validate survey responses against actual user behavior systematically. Cross-validation techniques enable you to compare what people say with what they do at the individual level. The discrepancies will surprise you. Triangulation across multiple data sources provides robust validation. Combine survey data with web analytics, subscription behavior, social sharing patterns, and email engagement metrics. This multi-source approach reduces reliance on any single data point and improves prediction accuracy. But here's the practical reality. Most publishers don't have the technical infrastructure or analytical expertise to implement sophisticated validation. If you can't verify surveys with real behavior, spend your time studying actual behavior instead. The integration challenge nobody talks about. Advanced survey methodologies require unified data architectures that most publishers don't have. Customer data platforms like Segment or Blue Conic enable real-time data activation, but they're expensive and complex to implement properly. The Financial Times consolidated customer data onto a single Salesforce platform, unifying ad sales, editorial, and customer service data. This enabled personalized experiences across all touchpoints while reducing platform maintenance costs. However, their implementation took 2 years and significant technical resources. For smaller publishers, the lesson isn't to replicate their exact system. It's to ensure any survey methodology you implement can actually inform operational decisions. If your research insights can't be acted upon immediately, you're conducting expensive market research, not building business intelligence. When not to survey. Sometimes the best audience research strategy is no audience research. If you're a small publisher with limited resources, focus on direct behavioral analysis through your existing analytics tools. The insights might be less nuanced, but they're immediately actionable. Survey methodologies make sense when you have the technical infrastructure to validate findings against behavior. You need to understand the motivations behind observed behavioral patterns. You're making significant strategic decisions about pricing or product direction. You have the resources to implement insights operationally. Skip surveys when you're just starting and need to focus on product market fit. Your existing analytics already tell you what you need to know. You don't have systems to act on survey insights. You're using research to delay making difficult editorial or business decisions. The bottom line. Most publisher audience research fails because it mistakes activity for insight. Sophisticated methodologies won't fix fundamentally broken assumptions about how people respond to surveys. The publishers succeeding with audience research understand three things. First, people are systematically unreliable reporters of their own behavior and preferences. Design around this reality instead of hoping better survey software will solve it. Second, any methodology that can't be validated against actual behavior is an academic exercise. If you can't measure whether your research accurately predicts real outcomes, you're conducting market research, not building business intelligence. Third, integration capabilities matter more than research sophistication. The most elegant survey methodology is useless if you can't operationalize the insights across your editorial, product, and business development functions. The media industry has spent the last decade chasing technological solutions to strategic problems. Audience research is no different. Better questions and smarter analysis help, but they're only valuable if they inform decisions that actually improve your relationship with readers. Focus on understanding what your audience does, not what they say they want. The gap between the two is where most audience research efforts disappear into expensive irrelevance. Ready to fix your audience research? Look, if you've made it this far, you're probably recognizing some uncomfortable truths about your current audience research approach. Maybe you're seeing that 30 to 41% gap between what your surveys tell you and what actually happens. Maybe you're tired of expensive research that sits in PowerPoint decks instead of driving revenue decisions. Here's what I know after implementing REM across more than 15 publishers. The difference between publishers who grow sustainably and those who don't comes down to understanding their audience's actual behavior, not their stated preferences. I've developed a practical framework that helps publishers design surveys that work around the three universal biases killing your current research. Implement RFV scoring without needing a Fortune 500 tech stack. Validate survey insights against real behavioral data, even with limited resources. Turn audience insights into actionable pricing and content strategies. This isn't another webinar pitch. It's a focused 60-minute working session where we'll audit your current audience research approach. What's working, what's theater. Design 3 to 5 survey questions that will actually predict subscriber behavior. Map out a validation framework you can implement with your existing tools. Create a 30-day action plan to test these insights. The session is free. Why? Because I'm genuinely curious about solving the audience research puzzle across different publisher contexts. Every market has its quirks, and I learn as much from these conversations as you will. Who this is for? Publishers with 50K plus monthly visitors are ready to move beyond ad-only revenue. Teams that have basic analytics but need to understand the why behind the numbers. Anyone who's commissioned expensive audience research that didn't change anything. Who this isn't for? Publishers are still figuring out basic product market fit. Teams without any analytics infrastructure. Anyone looking for magic bullets instead of systematic approaches. Want to see what effective audience research looks like? Download our validated survey template that's helped publishers achieve prediction accuracy for subscription conversions. Click the link in the article or the podcast description. FatChilli has a new website. Check it out. Just click the link in the description if you are listening in a podcast app. And don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter, and you will never miss new content from us.